Right, we've come to Underbank for the Open. Charlie Simpson's running Open. Got a couple of matches coming up here and down Flask and a little 2-day festival. So we've come for a little go. We've drawn peg number 35, and to be honest, it's paper peg, so I don't know where we are. I know we're going up towards the damn wall now, into deeper bits. Could be alright. We've nearly had a frost this morning, first one of the year, so sun's out, there's not much wind on it, so nobody knows what it's going to be like. But fingers crossed we get a few bites. If not, we're in good company and beautiful surroundings, so let's get down to the bank. Only got about another 10 metres I reckon, and then I'm cutting through woods, and then we'll see how we go. Right, for anyone who's never seen Underbank before or don't really know what it's about, this is the res. It's obviously an old flooded valley to supply water in the past, or probably still does, don't actually know. So this is what we call the activities centre. This is where we park, and there's a little car park, and it used to be an activities centre, water sports and abseiling and I don't know, all other stuff, but it's shut now, so we use the car park anyway. It's a public car park. And then this is peg 35 where I am. We're starting at the top end where peg 1 is, but you'll also hear people say about the lay-by section. So this is the lay-by section, which is on the other side. You're parking a lay-by, but today we're just fishing the activities bank, and depending on water levels, you can't always put every peg in, so we've just pegged in and around where we can get in. As the water rises and falls, you get different depths, and bank becomes exposed what you can and can't fish. So we just peg where we can get and whatever it is every time of year. But this peg 35, I'm not going to lie, it's a cracking area this time of year. I'm well happy where I am. It's sort of a little end peg into a deeper bay to my left. Bottom's nice, so yeah, we're well happy. Right, peg 35, Underbank, we are set up. This is us. Not a breath of wind. Absolutely flat calm. So we're all on this side today, the activities bank. This is the end peg down here, nearest the wall. And then we go up round that point, a few pegs round that point I believe, not that many. So yeah, this is us. Super simple day today. I've plumbed up, so everywhere from 10 metres out to as far as I can cast, I've got an 8 count. So I've set up at 46 metres, and don't mean I'm going to fish 46 all day. I'm going to start there. These sort of venues, sometimes you start and it's evident that they're not on that line, or they're shorter or they're longer, so by just setting one line up, I'm going to start 46 and figure it out. First hour, see where other people are chucking, see where fish are coming out. Might need to come short and I might need to come longer. I know at depth it's the same, so it doesn't matter if I just get back on sticks and re-stick up, go to a different distance, it doesn't matter. So when I say super simple setup, I've literally got maggots, pinkies and some ground bait. I've got a few worms in there, but I'm not going to feed any worms until I want to put one on hook. I'm only going to feed what I want to put on hook, so I'm going to set off fishing probably double pinky, single pinky, maggot and a pinky, and just feeding odd little pinkies. My rigs are, I've got 12-foot Super Hero with braid and an up and down shocker, 8-pound detection shocker. That's on a free running rig. I've also got the same rod duplicated with an 8-pound up and down shocker, but that's got a helicopter fixed rig. I've just done this in case any wind does get up or there's a tow, but it don't look like it's going to be. And then my last rod is a 12-foot method rod, or whatever I want to fish, a hybrid or a inline feeder or a scoop or anything. Just set up on 6-pound detection straight through. We've just got a short 4-inch hook length on with a hair, but we can always cut that hair off if we want to put maggots on or worms. So yeah, literally that's as easy as it is. And we're starting 10 or 15 minutes, so we're going to put 3 or 4 feeders in at start and just go straight fishing, see how it goes and decide what we're going to do. So fingers crossed we can get a few bites in first hour. Quite cold this morning, although it's sunny. We virtually had our first frost last night and it's only 2 or 3 degrees now, so if we get a bite, we get a bite. It's been odd fish topping, so that's a bonus. But I don't see why we shouldn't get a few bites. People are saying in between 10 and 15 pounds going to be needed to win, so that's what we're going to fish for. So let's wait for the start and see how that first hour goes. Right, good luck everybody. Right, so we've fed 4 medium-sized window feeders at 46 metres and we've just started on pinky. 60 centimetre up length, 16 hook. See how we go. See if we get some bites here or if we have to move. So for today's session, seeing as we're only mainly going to be fishing pinkies and maggots, we've got tied up Tubertini Series 18s in size 16, tied all these up to 0.128 NuFish exact hook length, and today I've tied all my rigs up to 1 metre. This allows me to fish at 1 metre but also shorten them down. Sometimes the fish want a longer hook length because they back off and just want to be caught on the drop and just have that little bit longer drop. So by tying hooks up to 1 metre long, it gives us options through the match to vary length of hook length, time it takes for the bait to drop to the bottom, and sometimes the fish just sitting just behind the bait, so it allows us to catch any spooky or wary fish. Sometimes you catch bigger fish on a longer hook length here. So in the first hour we will have no more than 3 4-minute chucks maximum. This allows us not only to just figure out what's happening in this peg, but also just get a bit of bait in, build a little peg. Even if you're not getting bites, I'm still going to have 3 or 4 minute chucks. A lot of your bites come with your first minute on this type of venue, so by having multiple chucks it puts a bit of ground bait in this peg. We're not putting much loose feed in, 2 or 3 pinkies every chuck, so it just allows us to create a bit of disturbance on bottom and hopefully attract the fish by fishing fast. Even though we might not be getting the bites, we'll still fish pretty fast and it'll build a swamp in this first hour hopefully. So we had 4 or 5 chucks without a sign, still just with his ground bait and a few pinkies, double pinky on the hook, and we've got his first bite now, 20 minutes in, and this is a good sign. If it's a little skimmer, this is what we want. We've built a little peg up so far, we've got a little bit of bait on bottom, and we've had his first bite, so this is very confident this, because sometimes you can go hour, 2 hours without a bite, so hopefully we can catch a few in this first hour and it'll show us we're fishing on the right line with the right bait. They're the sort of size fish we're after. Feeding 2 or 3 pinkies each chub. We've set off on a little rocket style feeder. This will release the ground bait quicker and hopefully create a bit of activity that the fish will come to this. If we feel there's too much activity, we'll put a window feeder on then and concentrate them on bottom, but I like to get a quantity of ground bait in with an open end or a rocket style feeder that releases it quick for the first hour. Big liner then.
They're a nice stamp. The lad next to me's just had one about £1.50. So we've had a couple of big liners as well. Might be worth putting method on sooner than I thought if there is some better fish there. I've had 3 or 4 what I thought were bites, but it turns out they weren't, they were liners. But I'm going to keep going with this negative feed at the minute because apart from the lad next door I haven't seen another fish being caught. So we get a sine win under a minute every time we go in, which is good. Am I getting a pinky? double maggot, maggot and pinky, sorry. 4 or 5 pinkies in feed. We're just going to keep doing this. 5 fish now. There's some anglers to my right, and I've seen 2 other fish being caught, so this steady approach is going to be good for me at the minute. Definitely contemplating having a chuck whip method though, because I feel there's some better fish there, because I'm getting quite a few signs and lines, bites on tips, so next couple of chucks I'm going to definitely have a chuck whip method and just see if there's a better one there.
So, because we've had these line bites and signs of better fish, and we've seen a better fish in next peg, we've had a chuck whip method. Little yellow after on, we've got 0.165 NuFish exact hook length tied up to a 16 B983 hook Kamazan, and yeah, we're just going to have a little go on this, probably have a couple of 5-minute chucks and see if we can get pulled in by a proper fish. If not, we haven't wasted much time, we can get back on fishing how we were before, with our little pinkies and ground bait. We've just got ground bait on the method, so we're not really feeding them anymore. It's just a little go to see if we can snare a better one. So we gave this method a little go, a couple of 5-minute chucks. We actually got some signs and some indications, but we never actually got a proper bite, so we've not wasted much time, and we've not fed his peg or anything, so just yeah, it didn't work this time. Straight back onto how we were fishing before, back onto our little rocket and as pinkies and ground bait. There's not been much caught around me. I've seen a couple of fish to my right, and apart from that, I haven't heard of much else being caught, so we're not doing much wrong at the minute. We're just going to keep on trickling away like this and hopefully just keep putting odd fish in there.
I had a brilliant first half an hour, caught 5 fish, and then the last half an hour I haven't caught any fish. Something the lad next to me starts catching fish and he's another 10 metres shorter than me. I've just seen a massive fish roll at about 10 or 12 metres. I don't know if it were a bream or a pike or a carp, or I don't know what it were, a trout. It were massive. So I'm thinking about sticking a rod up at 25 metres and putting some bait in there just in case, for later on, in case these fish want to sit shorter and not longer. There's odd fish coming out now to my right. the people who fed a bit of bait at the start to get a few bites now, so I'm just chopping some worms as well. Gonna have a go at introducing some worms, see if I can get an impact, see if introducing some bait does. But something's definitely happened out there, because I was getting signs and bites and everything, and it's gone. Just a little bit dead now, not as many liners and not as many bites. So could be a pike over my bait, a little bite then, probably a liner. But yeah, definitely need to do something just to kickstart my peg.
So although I'm not going to put them on the hook yet, we've chopped some worms up super fine, and we're going to start introducing a little blob each choke now, just to see if it can have the effect like an impact bait. So we haven't fed any worms yet, so we know if we start to catch some fish now, we'll know it's the worms that have attracted them. So we're just going to have a few chucks now with worm and see what happens. It definitely had a quick effect. We were back catching fish in no time, so it just goes to show, although it's not a lot of worms, they just wanted a little bit of smelling water, something to concentrate on. There were obviously fish in the area, we just had to put them on the bottom, and by introducing these worms, we were soon back into catching fish again. Right, so we're at the 2 hour stage here. We're 2 hours in, and I thought we've got enough groundwater in with our rocket. We're fishing a window now. We'll probably fish this window silly, and want to put all this feed on the bottom now. And we'll just start to catch a few fish now. We're definitely ticking over. There's fish in his peg. We just got to work out how they want them. A lot of quick bites. I'm on 15 fish, 15 skimmers after 2 hours. This is very good. We've had a little going around. There's not much else being caught. The lad on the next peg's on about 7 or 8 fish, and then I haven't seen much else being caught. So we're just plugging away and putting fish in the net. This is what we wanted to do, and hopefully we can kick on here now and really concentrate the fishing and get them feeding. But at this stage, 15 skimmers is cracking, so we're just going to carry on doing what we're doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're just varying as worms. Sometimes we're having 2 or 3 chucks with worms in, 2 or 3 chucks without worms. We're still fishing a maggot and a pinky, or 2 pinkies on the hook, single maggot, size 16 hooks. We've put a little bit longer hook length on. We're on 80 centimetres now, so we were just backing off a little bit. We've put an 80 centimetre on. We had a little run fish, so I have to say it's right or wrong, but it's working for me. $15. Yeah.
Four skins are fucking Roach.
That's on, isn't it?
Either that one, you're just in the upside down. You've got to lift it straight to fucking there.
Yeah. Because it's deeper here, so my shelf is, you know, if I underarm it to where, do you know, that green bit is,
Yeah.
green and white, I've got full depth here. 8 seconds here. But that's that shelf going, do you know, that way?
Yeah.
So I'm up over it before. So that's the all out, and we've ended up with 43 skimmers. This is absolutely brilliant for this time of year. This absolutely cracking. We're in with a massive shout of winning here. We've had 3 or 4 better fish. We've had a few smaller ones, but if the average is 8 ounce a piece, we're going to weigh over 20 pounds. So fingers crossed that's what they are, and let's see when the scales arrive.
Yeah. Hey. I'm gonna go 18 dead on that one.
18 dead.
Yeah. Or 12.
Do us a photo, just them 3 bigger ones, and then.
Fucking hell.
I don't catch much very often.
So when the scales arrived, they only weighed to 20 pounds, so I had 2 weighs. First weigh went 18 pound dead with my little skimmers, and then I put my few better fish on the net, and they went 4 pound 12. So grand total of 22 pound 12. Absolutely cracking this. More than I expected to catch. I were aiming for 10 to 15 pounds, so it just goes to show my steady approach to try and catch 10 to 15 pound was enough to catch 20 odd pound. So get packed up now and then find out how we've gone on. So Stephen, the next peg, he's fished an old school method swing tip. It's very sensitive, and he's had a cracking day. He's pushed me all the way. We were neck and neck halfway through, and he's just tailed off at the end, but he's weighed 16 pound odd, so there were definitely some fish in the area. So let's all get back to the pub, have a pint, and see how the rest of the lads have gone on, see how we've fared. Right, we went back to result, and we went and won it. It were a case of we drew right peg, right time of year. I were first, Steve were second in next peg, 22 pound and 16 pound. There were a few 9 pounds, 7s and 8 pounds. So there were fish to be caught everywhere, and yeah, right time of year, right peg. But you still got to catch them, you've got to make it happen. So you just got to take advantage of when you draw these little dolly pegs. So absolutely brilliant, one of my favourite venues, super local. I've only got about 5 minutes to get home, and then that's it. Next week we're on Dam Flask. Then we've got a little 2-day festival coming up. 1 day on Dam Flask and 1 day on Underbank. So hopefully we've learnt a few things today. Definitely the feeding was a big thing. You needed to feed them to get them in your peg, but then if you had too much feed in your peg, you couldn't catch them. So it were all about just chopping and changing. Worms definitely made a difference, but we caught without them at start, so it was definitely a good little impact. So hopefully we've learnt a few things for 2-day festival. Like I said, Dam Flask next week, so let's see if we've learnt something this week, what we can take to next week, and see if we can catch a few fish. We're at that time of year where weather can play a massive part. It can be raining, can be cold, you could get a frost, it could be windy, but they're the conditions everyone's got to fish in, and they're the conditions that we like. That's why we come to these sort of venues. But we're probably gluttons for punishment, really. So yeah, all's well that ends well. Had a cracking day, nice one. Thank you for watching. I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. Without people subscribing and watching, it's pointless me doing these things, but people are watching. I'm getting some cracking comments. I appreciate your feedback, and long may it continue. So have a good week, keep on bagging, and hopefully I'll see you all on bank soon.